California, Utah, Colorado, Missouri, Ohio, Florida, Vermont, and even Belize. And many of you took just a little time out of your afternoon to walk over. Clifford touched all of you in some way, whether it was a simple hello passing you in the neighborhood, or a complicated conversation about some matter of importance of the day, or just that phone call, just to say, hi, how you doing? I want to thank NASA for this extraordinary recognition, now known as the Clifford Feldman Lifetime Achievement Award. It's such a tribute to a career that embodied his lifetime passion. And some people refer to it as work. Not him. Thank you to Michelle and Tony for suggesting. What an honor. And I'd also like to thank NASA photographer Mark Haley for many of these wonderful images of Clifford. Linda Goldstein, this beautiful piece of art. This art comes from love and a long-standing, decades friendship, complete with weird jokes, dinners, and surviving teenage sons. Thank you to my brothers, Bob, Mark, and Michael, and brother-in-law Steve, for your kind words and just being here for all of us. Also, thank you to Daniel, Marty, Marcy, and Anna for your thoughts, remembrances, and stories. So, this has been a year of adjustments, and then adjusting again. And then when you think you finally got it, you don't. I've been asked many times, how are you doing? How are the children doing? I can answer for me. Peter and Kathleen will answer for themselves. For me, much of this year can be summed up in the lyrics of a Simon and Garfunkel song, which goes, I know a woman became a wife. There are words, these are the very words she uses to describe her life. She said, a good day ain't got no rain, and bad days when I lie in bed and think of things that might have been. But life, and mostly time, has a way of making me deal. So I've tried. Walking has been my therapy, a time to reassess, a way of sorting out this mess, this terrible, terrible mess that should have never happened. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Henry, who accompanied me on these very long marathons, and he's been such a good sport. So, there have been successful days and other days not so. Is he there? Okay. Oh.
Henry knows.
So there's been some successful days, and there's been other days that haven't been so successful. But I'm trying to let go of my visceral anger and rage and focus on this wonderful, kind, and beautiful man, Clifford was, and the gifts. So try that again. To concentrate on this beautiful man and the gifts he left me, especially Clifford, especially Peter and Kathleen. At the risk of repeating myself, I'm going to say some things that I had said a year ago. They still are very true to me. As you know, he was a quiet and gentle and generous man who was reluctant to take center stage, grandstand if you will, but above everything else, he was honest. If you wanted truth, he was that person to consult. Clifford loved the career he chose. It energized him. He valued the very talented people of his team, proud of them, and deeply proud and satisfied at the conclusion of each project, whether a simple routine task or those complicated ones taking many hours and weeks of planning. His professional talent was evident in the many numerous local and national recognitions he received for his work. Maybe here I could and even should brag that beginning at the age of 22, he won his first national award, but I won't. Clifford cared deeply for those people he called friends and family, his brother Stephen, my brothers Bob, Mark, and Michael, and their families, Sharon, Althea, and Annika, Susan, Margot, and Sarah, and June. His extended family, many cousins, and those colleagues, neighbors, and lifelong friends he came to know, care about, and loved throughout his life. Clifford was a lover of books, particularly mysteries, crossword puzzles completed in ink, and an ardent supporter of DC baseball. He appreciated beauty and found it in all things, artwork in particular, appreciating color, texture, and composition, light reflection, spending time just taking it in, whether absorbed in his favorite museum masterpieces or his own private collection. Beauty was creating and caring for his garden, or taking in the magnificent landscapes this world offered. Just recently, he took on growing orchids, which I haven't killed, and they are now blooming. He possessed a creative and sometimes wry sense of humor, usually delivered in the form of puns. Little known fact about Cliff, he fancied himself an athlete. He did, though, on occasion, ride his bicycle, play a little golf, walk and ski. We loved, the three of us loved and appreciated his efforts and just had a smile at his sincerity. A little bit about me and Clifford. My private Clifford, we were reluctant to refer to ourselves with those overused phrases of, we were best friends, soulmates. We were just simply friends. Clifford was my friend. Our friendship began with a chance meeting. I was 17 and he was 18. Soon, months became years, and then decades, 55 years in all. So many years, and they went by so quickly. We came from such different backgrounds, but we took what we valued and created our own rich and diverse life. Soon we became a we. We envisioned that there were no limits. We worked together. We started a business, traveled the world together, bought and renovated houses together, shared family and friends, and then started our own family. Everything was possible. We treated each opportunity as an adventure. We enjoyed most things and found humor in many of the same situations and people. Took counsel from others with reverence and respect. But in the end, it was only each other's opinion and thoughts that we cared about. It was no understatement. We had a great life together, and I was so lucky to have had him for so long, but it wasn't long enough, and I deeply loved him. Clifford put his family above all else first. With the addition of Peter and Kathleen, the we became an us. He loved us so much. He was so very proud of you guys, Peter and Kathleen. He loved being your dad, dropping most everything to be there for you. He instilled in you, by his example of honesty and hard work, and finding joy and value in all things tried and frequently accomplished. It was a rare occasion when he missed an event that concerned either one of you, school events, parent meetings, sporting events, or just being home to eat dinner. Clifford was a happy father, and I will say it again, so very proud of the two of you. Your dad was the calming influence in our house. He rarely raised his voice. He was the great encourager. Try this food. You think of trying it? Do you think of trying this that way? Did you see this in the paper? I just finished this book. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was interesting. I'll leave it here if you want. He was terrific at leaving just enough breadcrumbs on the path for you both to develop and grow in your own way. But be rest assured, he never missed that chance to loudly boast of your accomplishments, which were many. At the risk of sounding a little unbalanced, which you all know I can be, Clifford has and continues to be with me every day. Everywhere I turn, I see or hear him or feel his presence, especially in you two, standing here with me today. It is a chuckle, a tilt of a head, a smile, a glint in the eye, a turn of a phrase, their loving attentiveness. I see him always in them. This is the most wonderful gift he left for me. One side note. Also, those of you know me know I like to take a little morsel of information and turn this little bit into something very profound. So here goes. I think there was a tradition where immigrants coming to this country would bring with them a little soil from their homelands. Well, I collected soil from several locations that were important to Clifford. His family home in Buffalo, the Ohio State University, where journalism and photography enticed him, and we met, and Cleveland, Ohio, our first two homes. So now I have created a new tradition. Also, I found Clifford's to-do list, compiled during the many months of the lockdown. It was mostly composed of small repairs. The regulator clock that had stopped working decades ago, finishing the retaining wall, the ceiling repair. It made me very happy to complete these tasks for him that I thought important enough for him to have added to I should get this done list. To end, I want to say, Clifford only added to our lives. He took so very little. So how do you honor and remember a man that has given and meant so much? I think I can speak for the three of us. Although a beautiful stone in a bucolic setting, well, seemed a little too lonely. A tree in a space that is lived in and in the sunniest part of our little backyard, just perfect. Surrounding the roots with soil, the locations that helped Clifford define his life. We will love Clifford forever and always feel and sometimes see his spirit looking and hopefully smiling down on us, proud of us and still loving us.